Hey friends, it's me, Roxanne, Super Doodle Girl, and today I'm painting and doodling on the front of my copy of The Creative Act by Rubin. I'm using paint pens to explore color, layering, and intuitive mark making. This is not about the perfect design. I didn't even make a sketch of this. This is about flow, it's about balance, it's about curiosity. So maybe grab your paper, grab your journal, grab a pen, and doodle along with me. So this first part, I am playing with lines. So notice I'm using some overlapping lines. I'm using some what I call stop and hop lines so that some of the shapes look like they are behind other shapes. And I'm just balancing this out, using some geometric shapes, using some organic shapes. And the key to this process, this is one of the things that we do in creative meditative flow, is to carefully just notice what's showing up on your page. And if something seems interesting, add more of it. If you become bored with it, switch to something else. Pause the video, get some just black line marks, and then come back with me and we'll start adding some color. So as we move into the front, I am continuing my exploration. This is a new set of the Meeden paint pens. I'll link them in the description. I do really enjoy them, but one of the things when you're working with something like paint pens, it's a little more of a challenge to mix them. So I'm being pretty intentional as I add them on the page. So I'm starting with the orange. So I'm using these warm colors. They're in the orange-yellow range. And I'm balancing out where I'm going to place this pop of orange because I want the front of the color to be very warm, very inviting, very energetic. All right, now notice what's going on with the yellows. Even though I have already done pen tests, some of the yellows are a lighter value, and so they're not standing up and holding their own in relation to the orange. So I'll probably go over that one later. I don't know, but I'm really liking these bolder yellows. Those are working really well. Next up, we're going to move into our blues. And the reason I chose the blue is because I know it looks really good next to a yellow, and it also looks really good next to an orange. So one of my challenges is going to be how to create shading using paint pens. So I know I want to do this. I'm not exactly sure how to do it yet. And one of the things I do know is the cover of this book kind of has a fabric quality to it. So I'm working a bit of trying to get a smooth coverage, but then how to create that shading. So trying some things here, adding some stippling with dots, and using the dark and the light to try to get a dark and a light in this area. So this is the first time I've done this, so it may or may not work, and some of you might be wondering, like, why would I even attempt this on the front of this book cover that seems so permanent? It seems so precious. Well, the whole purpose of this book, this Creative Act book, is to encourage you to explore your creativity in a playful way. And so I know however this turns out, it's going to be fine. And I can always paint over it. I can always add other things to it. But let's continue on. So notice how I'm holding these three blues and working between them. So I've got a baby blue, a medium blue, and then this darker blue. And so as I continue to work around the yellows and around that circle, I'm working between the three. And so with this, I'm working with value, and I'm also working with color to create this pop for the yellow, and then it also makes the blue look a little more vibrant. So again, perhaps you pause the video, you get some warm colors in a little spots on your doodle, and then think about bringing in some blue as a contrast. Think about ways to create value in your doodle. So some areas that are darker in your doodle, some areas that are lighter. So depending on the medium that you're working with, that's done differently. So if you're using watercolors, you're using water control. So you're using more pigment, more water, less water. If you're doing colored pencils, you're laying different colors on top of each other. If you're working with markers or paint pens, you might have to use your style of doodle, the way you're coloring it in. Perhaps you're using some hatching, some stippling to create some darks and some lights. But that is definitely a key to adding both color and interest into your doodle. So pause the video, get some color on your page, and then come back and we'll move to our next color. So next I've moved into some warm colors again. So I'm testing out, this is metallic paint pens that were in the set. So there's sort of a gold and a bronze color. And I have to admit to you, they're not my favorites. So let's keep going and see if we can add other things around these to make it look a little better. So next I'm going to move into these purples and magentas. So this is kind of a bridge. Sometimes they can look a little bit cooler, sometimes a little bit warmer. So let's see if we can make this gold look a little better. I have this idea. I want to try to keep the value thing going where I've got some darks and some lights. And one of the things about paint pens, if I see that it's not working out, these are acrylic paint pens. So they have nice coverage. So if you goof, you can just paint over things like you can with acrylic paint. And that's what happened here. So my idea of having that light or the dark, the light color was not giving me enough contrast. So I decided to fill in these little petal shapes with this. It's a pink magenta. I don't know what color it'll look like for you, but that's what it looks like to me. And so I like this a little better, but let's explore the other warm, kind of in the reds and the magentas. Let's see what else we can do with them. So to balance this out, so I'm kind of looking at this, and I do this very intuitively, so I'm going to just talk you through it so it can help you out. So as I'm looking, I'm going to move toward the top of the page, because I know these warm colors, they're going to have a little more energy. They're going to look like they're coming toward you. They just have more, they're more aggressive on the page. So let's see what happens up here at the top as I add these in. Oh, this one is covering very, very well. Ooh, see how I put a little bit of that? So I thought, oh, I might be able to shade that little dot a little bit more. And this is something, I'm doing this with paint pens, so it wouldn't work exactly the same in watercolor. Now, one of the things in this Meeden set, I love that they've got the names and numbers of the colors actually on each of the pens. And in this set of 30, there are some metallic ones that are kind of fun. So I'm going to pop those up here at the top. It kind of balances out the gold and the bronze there at the bottom. And as you can see, these are not colors I have control over. So that's what happens when you get into using paint pens. They're a little more difficult. You can't really mix them as well on the page. And that's where you end up having to buy like those giant sets of markers. And I don't do that very much. I'm more accustomed to watercolor and mixing my colors. So this is definitely a creative challenge for me to just play with what I have and figure out ways to make it look good. So you can see we're starting to get a little more energy on the page. It doesn't look as cohesive as it did when I just had the yellow and the orange and the blue, now that we've introduced the fourth color. So I'm going to just lean into it. This is going to have all the colors on it, and we'll see if we can bring it together. So again, pause the video, grab a couple more of your colors, get some color on your page, and then come back and let's see what color we're going to add next. All right, so let's just lean into all the colors. So I'm grabbing my green and I'm going to layer this in. So whenever I move into using all the colors, I go very maximalist here. But one of the things that I'm looking for places to place the green where I know it's going to partner well with its neighboring colors. So notice I put it next to the gold. The green and the gold work. The yellow, green, blue. Yellow and blue make green, so I know we're going to get a nice harmonious blend between those. I am leaving a little bit of space next to the black circle because I'm still playing with trying to get the shading working with paint pens. So now I'm doing a little test of putting on the color while the light green is still wet and seeing if I can blend it with a brush. And so this is working out pretty well. So this is how I play. So I'm trying to learn how to use these paint, make artwork interesting. So with this, I added some water to it, and now I'm drying it off. And let's see, that seems to be dry to the touch, and we'll test it again. So this time the green underneath, the lighter green, is going to be dry. And then I'll grab my brush. I'm going to tap off so I don't have as much water. And the dark green was wet, so now I'm getting it blending in a little bit more. So I kind of like that. It's like a little smudged, but you can see the difference where I added the shading on the lower two, and so now I'm going to go back and add it on the top one as well. From now through the end of my work here, this becomes like a puzzle, because once you make the commitment to use all of your colors, and then the further along you get in the project, you're kind of like, oh goodness, what's going to around it. You're looking at the overall coloring on the entire piece. And then added into that is what I'm working on here, is I'm still trying to learn what I can do with these paint pens. So I'm really leaning into, I like the being able to create the value. I love that dark and that light part. That's one of the things, if you look at any of my doodles that I do, that's one of the things that I really like. I'll start with kind of a flat color, but generally by the end, it has some value. It's got some texture in it. And one of the things, I had left this little dot. I didn't know what color to put it. And then once things started coming together, I think it works well to have it be the orange and red, so it mirrors the little loop-de-loop at the top, so it gives us a little coherence there. I like the green kind of rays of sunshine over on the edge. And so I'm gonna try this light purple again. You know, the first time I tried it, I was trying to shade and it did not work well. Well, now that I've learned a little bit using the greens, let's see if I can apply that into this magenta purple style. Now, one of the things I'm also doing, I don't know if you can't really tell at this point in the video, is I am being cognizant of the edges of the book, and I'll make sure to come back and clean those up. So with this, notice what's going on here. So I've got the purple, that dark purple near the circle. So we've got blue, purple, green, so that's going to work. But then I'm transitioning it once you get below the bronze. Notice I'm bringing a little more of the purple there, but it's transitioning to the lighter magenta. So we're doing some things with shading to bring a little more interest into this piece. And it also helps me be able to transition colors, so I don't have to stay with just the purple. I can let the colors evolve and work better with their. Now after this, we have just a couple more sections to color in. So let's think through what might work for those sections. So we'll look at the back of the book for ideas. And then, you know, I loved this color on the back of the book, and I think it would be nice to bring a little more blue into the front. So this is the metallic blue in this marker set. I love this set. This set is amazing. It's kind of like a little sampler set, and I generally don't buy a set of 30 paint pens, but I have gotten obsessed with using acrylic paint pens on the covers. Some of my journals have hard covers, and they have like that fabric cover on them. And paint pens are great to do some designs on those journal covers. So I use a lot of watercolor on the interior, but oh my goodness, I think this is going to be a new little love affair with these Meeden paint pens. Yeah, so you can see that little sparkle coming in. I don't know that I'll do anything with the shading on this. I think we'll just let this stand alone. And so as you're watching and you see that, what color, what do you think I'm going to do? There are 4 spaces of the book color showing. What do we do there? If you guessed green, very nice, because notice what it does. We had all of our green was on that right side of the book cover, and I wanted to integrate it just a little more up here, and I think this is going to work out well. Yeah, I like that a lot. Let's do the little, yep, we're going to add in the shading. Hope that makes sense. Oh yeah, and the brush has worked out really well. I do like a little brush work on top of it. Okay, 3 spots left. So the question now, do I leave them the natural color of the cover? Or do we put something in the center? Do we put something around the title or around the name? Okay. Go ahead, pause the video, get some more color on your page, and then come back and I'll talk you through the ending, and you'll see how this ends. All right, so that's the last little piece on the front. Now let's look at the back cover so we see context. And it looks like there's one little thing I want to add, and that's a black border on the front and the back. I think that will finish it out. I'm going to leave the front, those 3 spots of the natural book color, and I think I'll call this complete. So this is an example of responding to what shows up on the page. As you play with one color and adding another, this is mindful practice. So this is similar to what we do in my Creative Meditative Flow class. And I'll leave a link to the Creative Meditative Flow Basics. It's a short class that you can do in a couple hours, and you can tap into your personal creative flow. And remember to like and subscribe so that we can keep creating together every day.